Frank pins the calendar to the fridge with a magnet from a plumbing shop that closed 6 years ago. He still uses that magnet. He circles the 15th in red, his 65th birthday, the day he retires. He picked that date 5 years ago. Same fridge, different magnet. He has a 3-ring binder in the home office. The spine says 2029 runway. Inside, a 3-column budget, a fiduciary checklist, an 8-month dry run where he and Carol lived on their projected retirement income while he was still going to work. Everything on schedule. Frank's plan is not wrong. Any planner would sign off on it. In 12 days, he's going to lose all of it. Not because the plan is bad, because a 5-year blueprint quietly assumes something nobody told Frank, and nobody's telling you. Nearly half of the people who retired this year didn't get to pick the date they retired. Nobody told them they wouldn't. Frank's about to find out he's in that half. Frank opens the binder to a tab labeled Year 5, a Sunday afternoon. He writes June 15th, 2029 across the top of the page in blue pen. He stress tests the date on a spreadsheet. He recalculates 3 times. Upstairs, Carol grades essays. Frank smiles when the numbers land where they should. He breaks his spending into 3 columns: needs, wants, one-time hits. He crosses off the summer cabin, then, after doing the math again, he adds it back. He pays for 2 hours with Josh, his brother's fiduciary. Josh is careful. Frank likes that. Josh reads the binder, says, "This is clean, stay the course, see you next year." Frank pulls 3 old 401k balances from 3 former employers into one spreadsheet. He knows to the dollar where the money lives and how each dollar gets taxed on the way out. Then he does the thing the blueprints tell you to do. He opens a high-yield account. He labels it buffer do not touch. He moves in $54,000. 3 years times $18,000 a year. That's the gap. The piece his portfolio has to cover between what his household spends and what Social Security will bring in. Frank and Carol run a rehearsal. For 8 months, they spend only what the blueprint says they'll have after Frank retires. Frank moves the leftover paycheck into a second account. He calls that one rehearsal money. He feels ready. The binder gets thicker. The date stays on the fridge. Saturday morning. Coffee. Frank looks up from the newspaper. 2 years, 3 months, 11 days. Carol, over her mug, "You're counting." Frank grins. Monday morning, Andrea, Frank's direct manager, waves them into the small conference room in the corner, the one nobody uses unless something is happening. For 18 months, she says, the company has been quietly exploring strategic options. That's the phrase she uses. Quietly exploring strategic options. This morning it landed. The company got bought. An East Coast holding group. Andrea slides a stapled packet across the table. The cover reads Voluntary Separation Program. Frank opens it. He's tier 61 plus with 15 plus years. 40 weeks of separation pay. Healthcare through the end of the year. A phrase on page 1. Retirement bridge. Frank reads the memo. He finds the line about the deadline. Decision by the 14th. 12 days from today. Frank looks up. Andrea, 12 days. Andrea looks down at the packet. I know, Frank. HR set the calendar. Frank doesn't drive straight home. He pulls into the parking lot of the credit union where the buffer account lives. He sits in the car. The date is still on the fridge, 8 miles away. But it isn't June 15th of 2029 anymore. It's some day in the next 12. Frank pulls the binder onto his lap. He opens the year 4 tab, the one about mapping every income source to the age it turns on. Social Security bridge in his plan. Age 62. That's 6 months out. His plan assumed 1 more year of a paycheck to walk him across to it. 12 days closes that door. He flips to year 3. The buffer tab. $54,000. 3 years. $18,000 a year. The gap. Frank stops on the page. The gap of $18,000 a year that assumes Social Security is running, that assumes the paycheck ends and the Social Security check begins in the same clean handoff. That's what a blueprint means by the gap. If Social Security hasn't turned on yet, the gap isn't 18,000. It's the whole thing. 60,000, all of it. Frank does the math on the inside cover of the binder. 54,000 at 60,000 a year. Not 3 years, 10.5 months. He looks at that number. He doesn't feel panic. Planners don't panic. He feels something stranger. Everything he built over 5 years was built for a world that isn't the world he's actually in. He gets his phone out. He calls Josh. Josh listens. He doesn't say anything for a while. Then he says, Frank, you're not the first client I've heard this from this year. You're not the 10th. EBRI just published their numbers. 46% of retirees this year didn't choose their retirement date, nearly half. Frank says, nobody told me that could be me. Josh quietly, nobody tells anybody. It's not in the pamphlet. That night, kitchen table, Frank and Carol, the binder is closed. Frank says, I built a plan for the person who gets to choose. The plan isn't wrong. I'm just not that person. Carol sets her glass down. Does that have a name? Frank thinks about it. Yeah. The benefits guy at work calls it illusion of control. It's the same thing that makes you reweigh the meat at the grocery store when they already weighed it. You feel better checking. It doesn't change the number. She half laughs. So what do we change? I change what I built the plan for. I stop building the plan for a date. I start building it for a trigger. He's quiet a second. Then, it doesn't mean I did anything wrong. It means I built a plan for the world where I get to choose. I need a second plan for the world where I don't. He pulls a blank sheet from the back of the binder. He writes at the top, if HR calls tomorrow, 6 decisions in 12 days. Underneath, 1, take the buyout or negotiate. 2, roll the 401k or leave it. 3, COBRA for 18 months or the marketplace. 4, claim Social Security at 62 or bridge with the buffer. 5, state tax if we move. 6, which month is the healthcare gap? Carol reads it upside down. You had 5 years to build this. Frank, without looking up, I built the wrong 5 years. Frank calls Josh in the morning. They spend the next 12 days rebuilding around the trigger. Frank walks into Andrea's office on Tuesday. He says, Andrea, I'm over 40. The Older Workers Benefit Protection Act says an offer like this has to give me at least 21 days to consider it, 45 if it's a group program. Can you have HR check? Andrea calls back that afternoon. You're right, we're extending you to the 23rd. Frank knows that rule because Josh mentioned it 2 nights ago. Frank didn't, now he does. He moves the money. The buffer account gets resized. Not 54,000 for the gap, 180,000 for the whole thing. 3 years of expenses, not 3 years of gap. 180,000 is a scarier number. It's the right number for the world with a trigger in it. He makes the decisions. He takes the buyout. He negotiates 4 extra weeks as a paid consultant to close out his open projects. He rolls the 401k into an IRA the first week of the following month. He picks COBRA over the marketplace. 18 months of continuation coverage, enough to walk him to Medicare. He holds off on Social Security. He'll bridge to 63 with the buffer and the severance. He keeps the house. He doesn't move states. He starts COBRA the day after his last paycheck. The healthcare gap is 0 days. Frank takes the June 2029 calendar off the fridge. The plumbing shop magnet is still there. It's always going to be there. He tapes a plain sheet of paper up in the calendar's place. 3 words on it in the same blue pen. Trigger first. Carol the next morning, mug in hand. Was the date the point? Frank looks at the paper for a while. No, the destination is the point. I still get there, just not on the day I picked. Frank walked out of that week with a short list. Not a lecture, just what changed. Before he opens any retirement budget calculator, he now writes a different page first. He calls it 6 decisions in 2 weeks. Any decision he can't answer today, he flags. That's the readiness test. He now sizes his cash cushion 2 different ways depending on where he is. If Social Security is already running, the cushion covers the gap. If it isn't running yet, the cushion covers the whole thing. Same math the blueprint uses. He just knows which one he's in. He stopped picking a Social Security claim age. He built a matrix instead. Healthy and still working. Delay. Pushed out, but doesn't need the money yet. Wait to full retirement age. Pushed out and needs the money. Claim now. A table with 3 rows, not a single number. He keeps a 2-column ledger in the front of the binder now. Left column, if I get to choose. Right column, if I don't. The right column is the real plan. And one line in his own handwriting on the inside cover, if HR calls tomorrow, do I know what I do first, or do I have to ask? Frank finally stopped working on October 30th of this year, not June 15th of 2029. He walked out ready. His plan no longer depended on the date being his. If you're building a 5-year blueprint right now, keep it, genuinely. It's good work. Next to it, on a second sheet of paper, write the trigger page to the one you open the morning HR walks in. You may never need it. Frank was hoping he wouldn't need it either. This is for education and entertainment only, not financial advice. For decisions about your situation, talk to a qualified fiduciary advisor, a CPA, or Social Security directly. If this helped bring one part of retirement into focus, hit like, subscribe so I can keep making these, and share it with someone standing in that same window. Because sometimes retirement doesn't come one day at a time. Sometimes it comes 12,